Welcome to ABQ Real Estate Talk on Saturday morning here on the Kiva 1600 AM. Tigo, I'm sure we have a great lineup today. I know we love to talk real estate. What do we have?
Well, I've got a big announcement regarding rentals in Albuquerque and finding rentals in Albuquerque, which has been a challenge. So they've got some really exciting news that I want to get out there for anybody that is curious about how do you find homes and apartments and properties for rent in Albuquerque. There's a new resource that's going to be super helpful for folks.
That's awesome. I love to talk about that. What else? We're going to talk about the market.
Yep. Talk about the market, what's been going on. Tracy, you and I, we look at it, the market a little bit differently. I look at it from a data standpoint. You look at it from a,
Feet
kind
on
of
the
feet in the
street.
ground. Yeah, exactly. And just remind everybody, this is Tigo and Tracy Venturi with the Venturi Group of Real Broker here in Albuquerque. And you can reach us at 505-448-8888. Just want to get that out there. Or welcome home, abq.com. Tracy, just it's summer. It's, some people call it like the summer lull in real estate. There's people going on vacation, taking their summer breaks. Been pretty hot out.
School starts again soon.
School starting again soon. So people are trying to
Get ready.
get their home thing figured out now. What are you seeing in the housing market and how people are feeling about what's going on right now with real estate?
Well, let's see. So, from a standpoint of home buyers and sellers, you mean?
Mhm.
So, right now, home buyers are there. We have people out looking for homes. Definitely, there's no lack of the need. What we're seeing though, as far as buyers are being a little bit picky, not picky, but houses need to be priced right for the condition, for the location. And we're seeing that the houses that are in that category, priced right for the location, condition of the property, as in priced right, in the sweet spot, so to speak. They're often getting multiple offers still, going under contract within a couple days of going available for sale. But then we're seeing other houses sort of lag a little bit. People are being more selective. They're not jumping at a house that's overpriced in their mind for what the condition and location is. And that's across all price points, Tigo, not just a certain segment of the market. We're seeing that in luxury. We're seeing multiple offers in luxury, but then we're seeing some of the luxury stay on the market a little bit longer. In the lower prices, typically, if things are priced close enough to range, we're probably seeing offers within the first few days on the market. But it's still a seller's market here in general, right?
Yeah, and that's what I'm seeing in the data, Tracy. I'm seeing there's a group of homes that come on the market and they sell immediately,
Right.
like within a week or less. And maybe half of the homes, they come on the market and they're gone. It has to do with the price point. That's a big deal because
Right.
the lower priced homes are definitely in much more demand. But it also, like you said, it's the condition, it's the location, it's all those, checking all the boxes for what people are wanting. And move-in ready is I think a big deal. I think move-in
so.
ready to move into is in nothing for them to do, especially this time of year, I would suspect too.
Yeah. It's interesting because move-in ready, a lot of people have a hard time just from, showing houses, a lot of houses over the years. People have a hard time visualizing themselves in a house when it's not move-in ready, and they feel a little overwhelmed at the thought of moving and all of the work that takes. But then to like take on a house that needs work or isn't as maybe clean as it needs to be.
That reminds me of something. I had a conversation with a realtor this week, somebody a little bit newer in the business, and they were talking about a home they had on the market, and they were explaining it, and they said, well, it needs new carpet, but they're going to do a carpet allowance. And I thought, boy, you have to, and I told them, you know what I'm going to, I told them, I said, look, I said, yes, okay, that's fine. And yes, they're going to give them $4,000 or $5,000, let's say, for a carpet allowance. Okay. But when that buyer walks into that home and sees that home and sees it news carpet, they're going to put a $10,000 price tag on that $5,000 worth of carpet.
Or they're going to be turned off and think the house is not loved, not cared for, not clean, and not want the house. And in addition, Tigo, to your point of an allowance, I mean, people have the sensory how they feel when they walk in a house, and it's huge. People decide very quickly if they love the house or they don't, and not having the new carpet can make a huge difference. But on the other side of that spectrum, lenders have a hard time with allowances. Things need to be in the house. They're not going to just give cash to somebody. So it has to be not really a carpet allowance for a loan. It has to be a credit towards buyer's closing costs to offset what they bring to closing. So they still have to have their own down payment. The seller cannot contribute to the down payment. They can only offset some of their closing costs. So if there's not $4,000 or $5,000 worth of closing costs, the credit doesn't work very well. So
Well,
it's
and I,
like just replace the carpet.
yeah, I think that's the moral of the story. It's like, allowances and credits for new appliances or carpet or paint or whatever it is, as a seller, you're not going to net as much as just doing those things. And now
Right.
we're not talking about upgrades, right? We're not talking about updating the entire house. That's a different conversation. We're just talking about normal wear and tear maintenance on the house.
Right.
Yeah. So, okay, we got off on a tangent
We
there, but I
did.
think it's an interesting conversation for people that are thinking about selling.
So back to this, the stats from
Yeah,
you were saying the
yeah.
stats versus the feet on the street.
Well, I wanted to say, so, days on market, right? That's the number of days at a home once it goes active on the market in the multiple listing service and goes out, how many days before it goes under contract, not how many days before it closes, but goes under contract.
Right. When it gets an accepted offer.
Yeah, and there's a lot of different ways to look at that data point, and I like median days on market because it tells me, how many days has it taken for half of the homes to go under contract once they come on the market. And we've been as low as 4 last month, I think 5 days the month before, meaning half the homes are selling within that time frame.
Right.
Very quick. I looked at some of the July just preliminary stuff, extracted that from the MLS, and in July is looking about the same. About half of the homes are going to be sold within a week. But the thing that's odd is there's this whole other group of homes that are taking longer to sell than, let's say, 2 years ago, where everything was selling no matter what.
Right. Right. Yeah, there is definitely that group that's taking a little longer. And like I said, it's across all prices, whether it's, the most affordable to high-end luxury, there's still some homes that are lagging. Obviously, the largest buyer pool is in the more affordable homes. So we do see more of those getting more action, but
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing that's kind of, I don't know what the right term is, crazy. It's such an overused term, but the median price in Albuquerque is now like $360,000, meaning, a low priced home is now a home under 350 or under 300,000. I was talking with somebody that works in housing advocacy the other day. He was quizzing me on some data, just wanted to get my take on what's going on in the market.
right.
And, um, trying to figure out, okay, how can there how can we get affordable housing in Albuquerque? And I've said, it's if you're somebody building a property, right? Unless you get the land for free, if you're building a home, you're starting with $100,000 before you do anything. That's just the finished lot, right? And so you're trying to get something under 300,000 is really, really just the only way it can be done is if for some reason you own the lot really cheap.
So when you say finished lot, what you mean is you can have the building site with utilities, permitting, infrastructure ready to be built on.
Correct.
I don't even know if permitting's
Not
in that.
permitting.
Not
That's
permitting.
that's
That's a
just
different thing.
yeah.
But having the land, maybe it needs dirt work, but it's mostly the land and
Yeah,
the
no, no, no.
utilities.
What I'm saying, I'm a builder. I'm a production builder, and I want to go buy a subdivision of 100 lots, let's say, that's already been developed. The developer's already built it out, curb, gutter, roads, water, sewer, electric, all that stuff's ready to go. But it's just a pad site. That's going to cost me $100,000 before I even
For
start
the home site.
doing anything on it.
Right.
That's just what it is now. And there's a limited supply of those as well.
That are finished and ready to go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think it's important because we use terminology and you were throwing finished,
Yeah,
out
yeah.
there like
I get it. I get it.
in
I
this
get it.
a string of other
Who,
things.
me? What?
Yeah.
Using realtor
So,
lingo?
so before
Go
we
ahead.
get off on other subjects, I want to just make sure that everyone knows our website, welcomehomeabq.com. We've got great tabs there. There's information for sellers, for buyers. There's open house tab. There's newly listed properties, so you can see things real time as they come on the market on our website. Or reach out to us. We'd be happy to help you with any of your real estate questions or needs.
Yeah.
Right.
We love
And
answering real estate questions.
well, we do like real estate. So we're at 448-8888, and we have a team of realtors to help you with whatever needs you have. So love to talk. And we also have Spanish speaking. We also cover Santa Fe. So
Yeah.
whatever needs you have, we're here for you.
And Tahiki.
Yeah, Tahiki.
We have a property coming. It's in the Tahiki area, which
Yeah.
if you don't know where that is, look it up. It's no, I mean, it's just,
It's
it's an
south
hour out of Albuquerque, basically.
by the Manzanos,
Yeah.
south of town. It's basically on the other side of Kirtland Air Force Base,
Yeah.
over the Manzano Mountain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So
we've got a variety of homes coming too. So if there's something you're looking for specifically, give us a ring and check. Maybe we've got it coming.
Okay, got to talk about New Mexico home rentals. I got to tell you, I'm actually really excited about this because this is something I personally have been working on for at least a year and a half. I think November of 21 is when we first started working on this at the multiple listing service. If you guys don't know, I'm involved with the multiple listing service here in Albuquerque, and we just launched a product. You can find it on a website called NM Home Rentals. I had to think about it for a second. nmhomerentals.com. It just launched this week. It's still kind of, I don't want to say beta test, but it's basically up and running, where you can go in there and search for properties for rent in the Albuquerque area. And Tracy, like when people would call us and say, "Hey, I thanks, but
Not in a position to
I'm not in a
buy.
position to buy, but I want to rent a home," what would we have to do before?
Well, I would give them a lot of different websites and say, here's a lot of the property managers in our area. And you have to look at their specific website to see what's available and call them in each individually.
Right. And people would go to Craigslist.
Yeah.
Talk about that and the problems with that.
Craigslist, which there's a lot of scams on Craigslist. A lot of times when we list a home for sale, a lot of times not too unusually, right?
Yeah, that's probably a better way. It's not anyway, go ahead. Yeah.
So we list a property for sale. What happens is some scammer goes in, takes our photos, looks up the ownership on some public site, and then puts that home as if it's available for rent on Craigslist or on Facebook Marketplace or on other sites, and they make it for rent. The rent price is usually a little below market, and they've got some sad story about them and how they had to leave quickly, and they just want a good family to love their house and rent it. And they make it for rent, and then in the words they send, if you inquire about it, or even sometimes right on the site, it says, yeah, there may be a real estate sign there, but please ignore that. We don't want the realtor to know we're trying to rent it. And so people go and they think they're getting a steal on a rental, and they pay somebody who doesn't own a house. They usually take the owner's name and make some sort of takeoff on the owner's name, so it's sort of similar.
Well, you mean like the email address? Yeah.
They pretend that they're the owner, and they make something that's somewhat similar to the owner's name. And we have had too many people being taken by that. So now we have NM homerentals.com.
So to bring this back, so we've realized that in the Albuquerque area, and when I say Albuquerque, I'm talking about the whole metro. In fact, in this case, it includes Santa Fe as well. There's no reliable, let's say, source of truth or single source for searching for rental properties. Zillow's good, apartments.com is good. There's a handful of others, Zumper, that are national sites that are reputable. The problem is the Craigslist and the Facebook Marketplace, like you said, they're some of them are for real. Don't get me wrong. It's not like they're all scams. But the reason landlords would have to use those websites is they don't really have an alternate. There was like, if you're trying to promote a property for rent, you didn't really have an alternate. Now we have one. So let me go back to this. New Mexico homerentals.com. It's actually
NM, you said.
oh, is that what I said? You're right. You're right. It's nmhomerentals.com. It is a website that has for rent properties that are sourced from the multiple listing service. So anybody that's a realtor that's a member of the multiple listing service, those, and they put those, properties that are for rent, so property managers, other people that have properties for rent, those properties show up on there. Also, this our vendor who does this, Rental Beast, they're sourcing rental properties from a lot of the property managers in our market. And we went from having a couple hundred homes for rent on our multiple listing service to about 2,500 homes on this site now, where you can search for homes and apartments and properties for rent in Albuquerque. And we've just never had this before in our market.
I have a question about it because I haven't seen it yet. Is there a map? Is there any information? We get a lot of people from out of area and they don't know what area of town they want to be in, or what their commute time might be to their new job or to their kids' school. Or
Yeah, so when you go on there, it's just like most home search sites. You can put in, price, bedroom, bathroom. Of course, in this case, it's price per month. Rent price per month versus sale price. But it's you can put bedrooms, bath. It's got some neighborhoods right now. It's very basic, but there is a map feature, so you can go in there and just put your polygon, put a circle in a certain area, and zone in on a certain part of town. You can actually go in there and click on the map and drag it around, and search different parts. And as you drag it around, it updates of what's available, and you can put in like what dates you want it available. And one thing I want to make clear: this is not for like short-term rentals. This is not a replacement for Airbnb type platform or Vrbo. This is for 1 month minimum leased, term type rental properties in the entire metro. So
it's great. What a great thing. Thanks for all your work on that.
Yeah. So that's, I want to get the word out. One thing about the scams, because one of the questions that have come up as we've been working on this is like, well, how do people aren't putting fictitious, scammers in there, putting in fictitious properties or putting in properties that they don't own and trying to collect a deposit.
I did have that question. I was wondering that.
Yeah. So a couple things. One, when you're in here searching, it's going to say MLS sourced, meaning if it's MLS sourced, that means it came from a realtor that put it into the MLS. And people probably don't know this, but you know this, is the MLS has very strict rules about, having good, accurate data, right? We want to make sure that our data is very clean and accurate about homes. The other part is that our vendor, Rental Beast, they're sourcing these from property managers through these property manager
like local companies and national companies that have rentals.
Yeah, they have rentals, and they have their own systems to track that and update it. And so there is some checking and making sure that it's valid. Rental Beast actually puts a verification on properties where they've actually certified and verified that it's the right
That's
person.
awesome.
But
good news.
And just one last thing on this for landlords: if you're a property owner, we always say the mom and pop landlord, right? I don't know. I don't know where that term came. Well, I know where that term came from, but somebody owns a couple homes or a couple apartments or has a duplex or, one house. And they, right now, if they want to put that property out, they would go to a company like apartments.com or Zillow and pay a fee to put the property up there. Well, now those people can actually go into this platform, certify who they are, certify that they're the owner of the property, and they can list those properties for sale as well. So
that's great.
That was a long conversation about
You've been working on it for a long time. So good job.
And it is going to be a real benefit for our community in helping people find properties.
Good.
And the best part of all, we're going to have good data on rentals in Albuquerque.
We'll know what things are renting for.
That's kind of been a challenge.
Yeah, good. So Tigo, I want to skip over to Homes of the Week and making sure people know that our website has a great tab for open houses from all open houses that are being entered into our multiple listing service.
Mhm.
So this weekend, if you want to get out in this beautiful, nice, cool weather and look at some open houses, you can find them there on our website, welcomehomeabq.com. There's also tabs for newly listed, like just listed, scroll through like real time so you can see the hot off the press ones. And a lot of information for buyers and sellers, education wise. We also have, what's your home worth, of course, on our website.
Yep.
But there's all sorts of info there. So
Tracy,
take a
I
look.
want to talk about that. What's your home worth? We launched a tool for our clients, friends, anybody really, and it's on our website where they can plug in their address, get a automated valuation of their home, and then ongoing, it's just helping them keep up to date on what the home might be worth, how much home equity they have,
Right.
and so on. But you have a story about that.
Oh, yeah. So I forgot I told you that. So we have somebody that got on the website and they did a value for a rental property that they have. But what's interesting about this is this particular person is a realtor, a licensed, well, in our MLS, I'm guess licensed,
Yeah.
realtor and appraiser.
Yes.
And made a comment back to us and said, "Hey, I just thought I'd let you know that the automated value that it came up with for my rental property is right in line with what I did on my own using real data to verify it." Now, all of them are not going to be that accurate, right? It's still an automated thing. It's just a really nice convenience feature for our listeners, for our clients, and anybody. But it was good to get that feedback from a real professional who used it and went, "Hey, that was pretty awesome," because they can watch the value of their property over time, just very hands off, get a little update here and there of what that rental is worth. It's nice to track your equity, right, in your
Oh,
home.
absolutely.
I love to know, like, if we only owe this much and my house is worth this much, I have that much equity in my house. I mean, that's real wealth and real, you know, it's fun to watch that build.
Yeah,
So
yeah, for
that
sure.
was fun.
Tracy, there was something that came up in one of the groups that I follow, talking about, speaking of appraisal, how much does a swimming pool add in value to a property?
Yeah, interesting.
And
I want to know the rest of this.
Well, that's the problem, is there's not a so there's this term in the appraisal world where the appraiser has to basically compare properties that have a feature versus properties that don't have a feature, determine how much that feature adds in value to a property, right? So you could compare a house that has 2 bathrooms to a house that has 3 bedrooms, everything else comparable, right? And in theory,
you
you can
said
determine
2 bathrooms compared to 3 bedrooms.
Is that what I said?
You meant 3 bedrooms compared to 2 bedrooms.
No, I meant 2 bathrooms versus 3 bathrooms, right?
Okay, there we go.
So how much additional value does that third bathroom add? Well, to determine that, you have to, compare a bunch of properties that have 2 and a bunch of properties that have 3. You get where I'm going, right? And then figure out the difference. Well, it's a difficult thing to do, especially when you have a small data set.
Right.
And so I looked in Albuquerque, and last year there was roughly, I'm trying to remember the number, it's somewhere around 14,000 homes that sold in our entire area in the last year. Only about 400 had an in-ground swimming pool. So it's a pretty small data set. And so how do you compare that? So there's no good way to do that. So what ends up happening is we have to have these conversations like this, and you go, "Well, what do you think it adds?" "I don't know. What do you think it adds?"
What's really interesting when you started talking swimming pool, first thing that came to my mind of added value is, what time of year is it? If it's right now and it's 100 degrees outside and the yard looks beautiful and this pool is sparkling and there's beautiful chase lounges and flowers and it's very inviting, versus it's the middle of winter, it's covered over, it's got dirt on the cover. Everything's like a mess because it's winter and nothing's pretty, everything's brown. It's going to look a lot different, I would assume, to buyers and to an appraiser.
Yeah.
No,
it
you're
is.
going to sell your pool in the winter. Make sure you at least open it for the photos in the summer or something. If you're thinking of selling, get those photos so that they're ready, not with a bunch of kids in the pool and not with people around it, because that's the only photos we have of a pool, right?
Yeah.
A lot of times is client says, here, I've got some pictures from summer, but it has people in it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And you don't want to put a bunch of people out there with your house photos. So
No, I
anyway,
mean that's a good point, and I think so to go back to that, it's there is no set number
right.
how much value a pool adds, and it adds as much as a buyer is willing to pay. I know that's really a cop out answer.
So just one more thing on that, Tigo. What it costs to put in a pool today can vary hugely,
Oh
right?
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, you get a rectangular pool with an auto cover versus an odd shape with a unusual way to keep it clean,
With a
with a
waterfall.
waterfall and a slide and a
Yeah,
deep
yeah,
end
yeah,
and
yeah.
a sophisticated chemical system and things.
That's a fair point,
They
and
vary a lot in what it costs to put a pool in.
I heard somebody say a rule of thumb was half of the cost of installing a pool is probably the value you're going to get out of it. Again, that's
Yeah, I
very,
don't know.
very vague. But anyway, it's an interesting conversation because we have that all the time about, okay, what does a solar system add? Solar voltaic, I'm talking about, power generation, and again, that's a big question that is a big question mark on it because there's no way to really track that data.
You know,
There's no good source for that.
just like when Greenbuild came out, there was
Mhm.
this whole thing where does it add value to build your house green, have more energy efficiency, which would make your utility bills lower and your indoor air quality better and maybe the noise level and the safety different, right? And I know there was a couple appraisers back in the day who were really good with the first few green built properties that we were working with for different builders. And I was probably one of the first in the state that was certified
Yeah, I remember that.
green build specialist, which we were pretty passionate about. And now it's pretty common in all the new construction. But back in the day, the appraisers were being tasked with making that house worth a little bit more because of those features.
Yeah, it's an interesting conversation because, people wanna do certain upgrades to their home, and they're like, "Okay, well, is it gonna add value? I'm not sure," and it depends, like, again, let's go back to the original example, a 2 bathroom versus a 3 bathroom. There's no doubt that a 3rd bathroom adds value in
To the
most cases.
and to the family who lives there.
Right. But, adding a bathroom onto a house, that's really hard to do
It
and really
is.
expensive. So you're gonna get that out of it? Probably not.
Did
Uh,
you have more than one bathroom in your house growing up?
I had 1 and just barely a half with the 5 of us.
Yeah. We had one for the 7 of us.
Wow, we sound so old, Tracy.
We
That
we
was just
are.
pathetic. Yeah, it was just sounding awful.
Yeah.
Um, one last story I just wanted to hit on. I saw, and it was the headline was this is a national story, and it was just 1% of all homes changed hands so far this year.
US homes.
Yeah, U.S. homes. So this is something we've been talking about a lot. Is people just aren't moving as often. We're not seeing as many homes coming on the market. People just are staying put. There's this whole rate lock conversation about people that are locked in these low mortgage rates that don't want to jump into a new home at a 7% mortgage rate. So
Although we've had several clients doing that recently.
yeah, well, and I think that's just it. It's people
The new
making the
normal.
decision that works for them, right? And
Right.
there's another headline that I've seen lately in the housing world is the new normal 7% mortgage is like
Yeah.
buyers are realizing it. Okay, this is what it's at now. Doesn't seem like they're going to go up much more at the moment. Doesn't seem like they're going to be going down. Um,
Yeah.
Although there's a lot of people predicting rates going up and going down,
Yeah.
and they're going to give you a whole list of reasons and evidence of why,
On both
and
sides.
they're both good arguments.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's always fun to talk real estate. I
Yeah.
don't think we got to all the topics we were really going to talk about
No, we
today, but
did.
you know
Wait,
how
wait,
we
wait.
are.
People are going to feel like
Oh,
they
wait.
missed
Yeah.
something. We got
Yeah.
everything done.
Oh, yeah, we did.
Yeah.
It's just, how we are. We sit and talk real estate all the time. So
Yeah.
thanks for joining us and listening in as we banter about real estate every week. We really appreciate you guys. And, let us know what questions or things you would like us to talk about. We'd love to hear from you.
What kind of banter?
The banter.
Yeah.
And the best way, 448-8888 or welcomehomeabq.com. And we look forward to hearing from you. And thanks for being a part of our show.